Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Best day of the week. Don't you
There we
jump in
go.
on there, Brandy. I'm here. I'm here.
Listen, just making sure that coffee kicked in.
Hey, it does every day. Third cup already.
Third cup. Jamie, how many cups have you had? You're at the new spot, right? The new short-term rental, Jamie's Lane Change.
Yeah, I was up at 5, drove up here from Atlanta this morning, picked up a coffee table on the way, about an hour in, already went to the grocery store, 3 cups of coffee, and unloaded my car. So
Wow.
Love it.
Reverse
been a
commute.
productive morning.
Reverse commute. Easy ride out of Atlanta.
I love it. I love it. And Brandy, you're back up in New York?
Yeah, I'm in up at my like mountain house. I'm actually about to leave here after this and go back to Miami. So, but it's just ping-ponging up and down the East Coast.
Catch you a fish or
Love
two on the way out.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I can't fish. That's
For those listening on audio only, Brandy has about 15 fishing poles in her background.
Classic.
Well, Will, I've been getting some fun texts over the weekend. Can you elaborate what you've been up to?
Yes, would love to, Michael. Would love to. I've been on the road with Steve Davis from Operto. We've been shooting a bunch of content for their Operate Summit, which is their basically the virtual summit where they're educating property managers, and we've been shooting a ton of content. But you know, this industry, when you're in other people's cities, of course you got to connect. So we met up with Jeff from Host GPO and Sam from Bestie AI. And we had a fun couple days. You know, Friday and Saturday were fun. I'll just say great.
All work, no play, right?
Yeah.
So
100%.
So I saw a photo of a Will Slickers getting a tattoo, and I want to see this tattoo.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
the people want to see.
All right, so I teased it out on my Instagram. Yes, I got a tattoo on Friday. And disclaimer, only 2 glasses of wine were consumed before making this completely sober decision, because I already have tattoos, so it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, you know, we were spitballing ideas, and this bar had this tattoo artist there. And Sam was like, someone should get a tattoo. It's basically free. And then Jeff, you know, looked at me and was like, well, you got tattoos. You should get a
You're the
GMH
one.
tattoo. You should get a GMH one. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. So we did it, baby. And we got a tattoo.
Buddy. GMH for life.
Oh my God. I
Yeah,
love
for
it.
those on LinkedIn,
That's a prominent spot too. You
It's
didn't
a
hide that bad
prominent-
boy. You
No.
put that front and center.
That's a place of honor, I would say.
Hey, the show, look, we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary on October 19th, right after Verma. Brandy and Jamie, you guys joining has been the best part. Obviously, Michael and I just feel so lucky to record with you guys on Mondays. So yeah, I figured such a great part of our life. Why not? Why not get
I
it?
love it.
Yeah, showing the dedication out there. This is for all the people out there that want to see how dedicated we can be to the brand.
Right on our
Listen.
4-year anniversary too. So yeah, another
You know
here's to the
what?
next 40, right?
If you
Yeah.
maybe you can convince me to get a third one, and I'll add GMH to the potential list of options.
You can just get like a little
Ooh,
small one.
she's
Just a
opened the
little
door.
small one. There we go,
Some
Brandy.
nice
She
script.
said it. She said it. No, you got to get the brand font. I had to like give the guy the logo. He went down to his shop, printed it out, gave me multiple size options. and then
Okay.
put it
We'll
on
talk
the-
terms later.
Okay. Well, so Jeff and Sam, shout out to you guys. Shout out to Steve Davis. Great weekend. Like, I didn't think I would like New York, but when you know people that live there, that know all the spots and all the things to do and go see and to eat and all that stuff, it was so much fun. So great weekend. Now we're in DC until Wednesday. So let this bad
Nice.
boy heal a little bit and show it off to the world.
I think we can gloss over the rest of our weekends because nothing will it will
Compared
pale
to
in
that,
comparison.
for sure.
What also happened last week was Skift's conference, and per usual with conference season, I'm sure we'll see it with short-term rentals coming up with VRMA, but lots of news breaks and lots of topics to discuss. So this is a fun time of year for us industry nerds who talk about it on a regular basis. What and Will, you stopped by Skift. What jumped out at you? Is there anything that you want to start with?
Yeah, I'll say two quick things. One, Glenn Fogel's session was the opening session on Tuesday evening. It's pretty interesting. Had quite a few comments to make about their growth, and I know we'll talk about this. And then the other part, just the overall, like vacation rental industry, where whatever conferences we go, it's a lot of the same people. Everyone knows each other. And we all know the business and we all geek out. The one cool thing with Skift, and the also interesting thing that I'm kind of seeing, they're more broad travel. So yes, they have short-term rentals, hotels, OTAs, you name it. Like, they cover a lot of content, a lot of different areas. But when I was talking to people in the crowd, like introducing myself and getting to know their businesses, a lot of them are tour operators or building tech for tour operators and all these other areas. And so when you mention like, oh yeah, I also have a property management company, we manage vacation homes and list them on all these things. And a bunch of people would be like, oh, so you're trying to take on Brian Chesky? We're like, that comment kept happening over and over again. So I think there is a little bit of a disconnect from the broader travel industry and short-term rentals, because that was a reoccurring conversation I had to re-explain that we're not an Airbnb, we're not an OTA, we're a hotel, like a hotel management company. Anyways, so it was quite interesting seeing that hospitality is in travel, but travel I don't think is in the hospitality, like specifically. So
It's crazy. We still I think I would think that sector would be wise to the fact that Airbnb is an OTA and that, a short-term rental is not necessarily an Airbnb, but that just goes to show if people in our adjacent industry don't understand that difference, like the wider consumer, group also probably doesn't.
And traveler penetration, Jamie, you might be able to fact check me here. I know it's still less than 50%, but I want to say it's like 25%. It's still pretty darn low compared to folks who've stayed in hotels versus folks who've stayed in short-term rentals.
Yeah, there's a whole lot more brand awareness now, but still a pretty big disconnect between those who've actually used it over time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that was my main highlights from it. Obviously, wasn't able to see the rest of the content, but there's a lot of great posts on LinkedIn that people were kind of covering after Brian Chesky and after Ariane from Expedia Group. She was actually had a great session. I want to kind of go rewatch it a couple times, but yeah, just a lot of good names, good faces.
Jamie, when Glenn Fogel from Booking says they're beating Airbnb in market share, fact check, true or false?
So, and it depends on how you define market share and how you define the industry. So he said like that they've got 2/3 of Airbnb's bookings and 7.8 million listings. And booking.com calls it alternative lodging. And a lot of that supply isn't comparable to what we think of as the short-term rental industry. So like they include like guest houses, B&Bs, apart hotels, hostels in that number. So like, and my estimate and estimate of others like at Bernstein, some of the Wall Street analysts, puts booking.com at less than half of Airbnb's total bookings for true short-term vacation rental type inventory, which puts them at a much sort of lower sort of level than they sort of talk about publicly for their alternative lodging business.
Well, to be fair, they have more than just short-term rentals though, which Airbnb doesn't, right? So for them to take the liberties of calling a hostel or a B&B alternative, I think that's fair. I don't think that's too far out of line, but it still counts towards revenue.
Yeah, I
so maybe
agree.
it's the journalists that we need to hold to a higher standard of of how they compare to the two businesses.
Well, there's a bigger picture than just looking at a vacation rental house, right? So, yeah, not apples to oranges.
And I think we have seen this creep up of Booking taking over some of Airbnb share in the urban markets. But I would say like the traditional vacation homes, that's definitely a lag. But also on the other side of that, you can start to list all of that alternative accommodation on Airbnb as well. I just don't think it does as well. Like, so you can list your hotel rooms or it just isn't the type of product I think maybe people are looking for.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the things that was interesting. Again, the only session I could really attend was the Glenn Fogel one, and so he kind of went into some areas outside. Like, let's not even talk about Airbnb and STR for a second, because I think it's interesting when you have two different perspectives. Because we've been talking on the show about Expedia's tech migration, trying to get the three main brands, Expedia, Hotels.com, and Vrbo, kind of in the same area. And Expedia Tech / Vrbo, they've been very public about this migration, how demand was going to be, or conversion and demand was going to go down on their platform because they were doing this migration. So they weren't spending as many marketing dollars, X, Y, and Z, right? And Glenn was asked about it. And he was like, who cares? Like, what makes you think that anyone's going to care about your migration? They don't care. And I see that perspective. But then I also see the perspective of Expedia being a publicly traded company with many stakeholders, not only on the share side, but the actual part of operations and operators. I think I would have wanted to know, like, hey, yeah, thank you for letting me know that you guys are doing this. That way I'm not hounding you or my account rep for doing that. So I can see where they kind of maybe had two different areas of thinking around this tech migration. But Glenn's kind of comment overall was like, as long as you're bringing people bookings, no one cares. Comments, thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think that it was good that there was an explanation, especially if you're in the consumer side or you're not an operator that's directly interacting with the kind of like aftermath of that migration. I mean, trying to onboard with Expedia or Vrbo was a real nightmare for a while. And so you might have felt that, but that might not have been common knowledge. But to Glenn's point, like, doesn't really matter. Like these huge change management projects have costs. Like, you're going to lose revenue. That's a risk you have to assess when you're upgrading your technology. And to his point, like, that's a great time for Expedia's competitors to come in and just like nom nom noms, take some of that market share.
Yeah, I love Glenn's leadership style. It's just very blunt, no hiding anything. And yeah, no one cares, except I do think it's the right play for Expedia long term too. So
100%.
consumers and operators don't really care. Vrbo's playing the long game. Expedia's playing the long game. So it makes sense. It's something they have to explain to the street, but that's that.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. Well said. Well, Jamie, before we actually get into these other short-term rental topics, let's talk about the Fed cut. They dropped the interest rate. So, economist perspective.
Yeah. So, Fed dropped the Fed fund rate by 0.5% last week. This was widely expected. And one of the things to sort of think about when the Fed's going to be dropping rates, like if they're acting as the market expects, like you shouldn't really see much changes because it's sort of baked into the stock market. It's baked into interest rates, the 10-year treasury, things like that. So interest rates drop, and we saw no movement last week in 30-year fixed rate mortgages. That's because all this was sort of expected well ahead of time. So over the past year, and we've already seen over 1% drop in 30-year fixed rate mortgages. In the past month, we've seen almost a 0.4% increase or decrease in interest rates. And market expectations are for 2 more cuts through the end of the year. So all that's sort of baked in. So for people expecting, like we're at around 6.1% interest rates right now, that they're going to drop further by the end of the year, that's probably not going to happen. And we've sort of seen the cuts, and they're sort of all sort of baked in terms of interest rates, and both on the long and short side. So long-term rates are probably pretty stable. We may see some drop as we head into next year, but don't expect 3 or 4% rates anytime soon. The big surprise, though, was that we got 50% or 50% cut or 0.5% instead of 0.25. And there's sort of 2 thinkings there. One, that the Fed thinks we're in really bad economic shape, and so they're having to cut to sort of stimulate the economy. And that would be like me being really scared about what's going to happen over the next 6 months. And on the other side, it's like, inflation's down. Like we don't need to be restrictive on the overall economy anymore. It's just good for us to start cutting. And the data supports it. And I'm sort of in camp B, that like the data supports it. Like this is good. They probably should have cut like 2 months ago, and they didn't. And so now like they're making up for it. Not that the sky's about to fall, but I'm interested in Michael's thoughts on that as well.
Well, my thoughts are more questions back to you on how it relates to short-term rentals, where there's largely been in a downturn, people list their second houses, particularly so supply has increased. We've seen some stats that you've shared in previous episodes where the supply turnover is pretty much flat. There's just not a whole lot of vacation rental turnover like there typically is in a booming economy. So what does the Fed cut this time around and for the foreseeable future mean, if really anything, for short-term rentals?
So one, it signals that the Fed is in cutting mode, and that and sort of changed the mentality for a lot of consumers, a lot of home buyers, that the Fed is going to cut interest rates. Interest rates are coming down in general, and that they're going to be supportive of overall economic growth. So from the peak to today, we were at 8% in October of 2023. Now we're at 6.1%. That's significantly better. And what we're missing in sort of the housing sector right now is supply. And what sort of opens up supply is that people are willing and able to move or sell homes that they already have, because if they're a seller, they got to be a buyer and go buy another place. So are people going to start selling their homes, and we're going to get out of this sort of interest rate lock environment? My hope is that below 6 sort of starts to open up supply again. We haven't really seen it yet. We're really at all-time lows in terms of inventory. And that makes it an environment where home prices are still really high. The demand out there is sort of outpacing the supply of homes, which still makes it a tough overall investment environment for those looking to buy second homes or buy investment properties to sort of bring into our industry.
Well, the one other thing you can do to increase supply is to ban Airbnb. So just saying.
Well, I think that kind of my question maybe to the group or to Jamie is, there's obviously the kind of economic side of this with the interest rates and whether people are there homes for people to buy, are people willing to sell, all of that. But then there's these specific locations where there's been a dramatic increase in supply in general. So even if people are financially able to buy that second home, do you think, that there's a little bit of a hangover from this rush that we've had? Because I think there's still plenty of places at Miami where I don't really need more people to be adding to our supply. So it's just because, this might be great for your regular home buyer, but I think there's probably a bunch of areas that are you could relax on buying your short-term rental.
Yeah, I think, and I put buyers into 2 different categories. One, sort of investors, sort of underwriting these, actually looking at what is the ROI going to be on that investment. And for those type of investors, they're looking at their earnings, they're looking at the incomes, they're like, all right, it probably doesn't make sense to come into Miami right now. And others, the sort of second home buyer, maybe someone that bought a home in Miami during the pandemic and now doesn't want to live in Miami after going through a summer there. They're like, you know what? Maybe I'll find a property manager to manage that property for me and sell it when I think it's a better selling environment, sort of thing.
Yep. Well, it's I guess it's like all these things, we kind of have to like wait and see. We have these events that happen in action, and it obviously takes time to see what the outcomes are. So
yeah, I'm optimistic some of the cuts lead to a little bit of the unfreezing of the capital. There's been so much capital on the sidelines for the past 2 years, and some of it's short-term rental related, but probably a lot of it is also hotel related as well. There hasn't been a big turnover in hotel assets in years. So an unfreezing of that segment will be good for the overall hospitality world. But more importantly, how many there's not too many besties out there in the world that have received a good amount of a nice little VC check over the past couple of years. So I think there's some green pastures on the horizon. We're not right there yet. It's going to take us another probably year or two, but there's definitely some reason to be optimistic.
Yeah, and the metric I'm watching is supply growth. And that's the thing we care about. That's the thing I'm sure, Brandy, you're caring about is like, all right, we've seen a slowing of supply, and maybe not in Miami, but across the industry. But we hit a low point in terms of supply growth in June of just over 5%. The latest data point we have as of August, we saw U.S. available listing growth at 8.1% growth. So we may have hit sort of that low point of growth earlier this year, and now could be on a path of, if interest rates continue to come down, if there is a lot of pent-up demand for short-term rental investment, or people buying second homes or people listing their properties, we could see that playing out. My forecast, because I'm sure you guys care about my forecast, is that we're probably in the 7 to 8% range for the next 12 to 18 months. Like, I don't think investment's really going to take off. I think we're going to be in a relatively low supply growth environment for the next year. But I've been known to be wrong in the past.
Flag it.
Yeah, I love coming back to all of our predictions at the end of the year and seeing how far off we were or on, that happens. But one of the things I thought was interesting from the Skiff conference is the talk again of Expedia's loyalty program and going into all of that. And I don't know, there's been a lot of talk about this for quite a long time, and it's just really starting to see, how is that really rolling out? Like, how is that really going to be sticky? Are people going to care about it the way they care about their Amex points or their Delta loyalty and things like that? Because it's really the only offering we have as a short-term rental industry, and even in the OTA world. And it just seems like there's still a lot of talk about it, and I don't know how it's actually doing. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think Expedia is well positioned to be able to do it well, because they have flights, they have hotels, they have alternative lodging, as Booking calls it, but short-term rentals. The thing with loyalty programs is they take a long time to build up. So in order to bank enough points to use, you have to travel a bunch, right? And so the loyalty doesn't happen overnight. It's really, I'd be curious what metrics Expedia is tracking right now, but my guess is they're tracking points being banked versus points being burnt, whereas Marriott's tracking points that are being burnt because their program's so robust and people are sitting on, probably
too many
trillions of points across everybody's accounts. But so that's an important metric. But I think for Expedia right now, it's all about how can we get people using the credit card, accruing points, and then maybe 2-3 years from now, starting at looking at encouraging the burning of points instead.
Yeah, I totally agree with the points thing. And I think, banks also play a big kind of role into that, in the sense of we've seen so many banks get into travel. And Glenn Fogel also made a couple of comments about that. I don't think he's the most excited about that, because I think because he was talking about rate parity and direct bookings and offering low rates. And he wants a federal law to come in from regulators to talk about price parity, but that's a whole other topic for another day. I do want to ask you guys a question on the difference between points loyalty and membership loyalty. So while we were here, in the sense, recording with content for the Aperto Summit, Matt Orley with Red Cottages sat down with us and talked about his memberships kind of line item for that. And I know this is a very different type of company for vacation rentals, right? Like they're very like curated collection of properties in New York. But I do like that they were able to pull that off, and that they're able to charge an annual membership fee, and then immediately their members have started converting their discounts from that membership fee to bookings, like 3 or 4 times a year. Granted, that probably wouldn't be the same. I would assume something like that for Romy would look like a corporate membership that would be more for corporate travelers rather than vacationers. But I would love your guys' thoughts on the difference between points loyalty and then like membership loyalty.
Well, I think that membership loyalty that's just kind of a fee that you pay to access a certain set of services, right? And it's guaranteed what you're getting from that. And the points loyalty creates a gamification that becomes way more addictive, I think, and is also on that way more complicated, because you have to have some sort of banking involved. So if I just pay a country club membership, I know exactly what comes with that membership. I get that regardless. But with loyalty, that can change at any time. Like your points, the longer you keep them, the less they're going to be worth, because they'll change what you can get with those points. And we were talking before, like, now your loyalty points might get you like a bottle of water. And it's like, okay, is that not
I
just
was just going
standard
to make
service?
that comment. I was just going to
Yeah.
make that comment. Like we saw Matt from Muse post like, oh, my gold platinum status gets me 2 free bottles of water that should have been free in the first place. But anyways, keep going.
Well, and because now loyalty programs have become so popular, like it's kind of like the jig is up. Like we told too many people, and now it's kind of, I always loved having like my like hands in all the different like airline lounges and getting everywhere, but now it's becoming really expensive to be in all of these things, because people are catching on that the way you get access to all of these perks is, spending on these credit cards. And so they have to kind of take away your perks. So with membership, you know what you're getting. Every year you're going to get like, here's what you're getting and here's what you're paying for. And loyalty is a little bit more up in the air and is gamified.
Yeah. Well, I want Jamie Lane's thoughts, but I also want thoughts from our live viewers or listeners after the episode. What do you like, gamification or guaranteed going to receive a certain thing when you pay for the membership? So, Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah. So last week I actually had Matt on the STR Data Lab podcast. So a nice hour-long video or interview with him. But so loyalty, what I think about like the value really comes from it is for the loyalty company is like that someone's going to spend with that company because of that perceived value of earning and then be able to burn those points. So like Michael's going to spend on Delta, even though it's more expensive, because of being able to earn those points and then burn them in the future. Membership is almost perceived value. Like some of the things that Matt offers, like, oh, you can like book further in advance than anyone else. So get that perfect property. Like, and it kind of reminds me like Soul Cycle back in the day, where you could become a member and like be able to book your classes before anyone else. Like you're still getting the exact same value, but there's just some little perks that you're maybe willing to pay extra for, maybe lesser or no cleaning fee. And I think what's interesting for Matt is that he's started to come up with things that almost cost him nothing to provide to the guests that he can charge them for. And for vacation rental managers, like getting all that revenue up front, and for an industry that's notoriously tough on terms of cash management and cash flow, like is amazing. And if more companies can come up with, all right, I've got a group of travelers, they're all traveling to destinations that I have properties, so I can actually build loyalty in that membership base and then give them value, something that costs me nothing that I can then provide to them and get them to pay me up front for that value. And is really, I think pretty amazing.
Yes. Go ahead, Michael.
I met Matt 2 weeks ago for the first time. I haven't really heard of anybody doing something the way that he's doing. So I do like that approach. I do think he also probably benefits given the drive to proximity from New York and the higher end types of properties that he manages. I don't know if that's something, somebody in Panama City or Myrtle Beach could get away with. But I do love I'm sure you heard this on the podcast, but I mean, his guests are booking 3 or 4 times a year too. So it's a high repeat business. And the goal of loyalty or membership is purely to reduce marketing costs for the company. And, I think a good loyalty program has it feel like you're a member, whereas membership doesn't play as much into loyalty. It plays more into like the feeling of belonging. So there's kind of subtle differences for the two. But a really good, a Delta 5 years ago, loyalty was a membership. Basically, if you're in one of those higher end platinum, diamond statuses, that's a membership. It's earned through actual loyalty though. The problem with the loyalty programs today is it's not loyalty, it's sign up for the credit card. And Delta's a credit card business now.
Yeah. Well, also, I think that where before there was kind of an overlap of how you feel about being a Delta loyalist was also kind of that member aspect. Like if you have certain credit cards with those companies, you're paying $500-$600 a year. So that's your membership fee. But then now what you're getting is decreasing. So I think that that's where some of this friction, I don't know if we're going to reach the breaking point this year, next year, whatever it's going to be, but there's going to come a point where people are like, I'm paying almost $1,000 a year. I should have these guaranteed set of benefits, and that shouldn't come with me spending 25 grand a year on this credit card if I'm already paying $1,000.
Yeah, it's a great point. Great point. No, I really like this conversation, and this is something I definitely want to go into further on this show or other shows in our network, and really go into. I think loyalty is really important, especially in our sector of hospitality, short-term rentals. It's going to be so hard. We all know this. There's no big brand, and if there is, like Vacasa or Sonder, well, guess what? They're not doing so hot in the sense of giving my dedicated loyalty of only staying with them. Sonder outside this new Marriott deal, I'm still hesitant to find commitment to an STR brand. So it really does take a big player to come in and really kind of change that game. But really great thoughts, really great comments. Really great discussions. So good to see you guys after we took a week off, and of course having Jamie Lane back on is always such a pleasure. So Jamie, what's next for your property as you're getting ready to go live?
Went live on the OTAs yesterday.
Wow.
So
all right.
Yeah, used my uplisting account to list on Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking. I'm going to get my direct booking site going soon. So all that sort of fun stuff. I head out to Barcelona on Saturday, and then we'll be out in Porto for Vacation Rental World Summit. So, and then Verma. So, and a lot of travel coming up.
Busy couple weeks.
The conference circuit begins.
Yeah.
Porto's a great place. Have fun.
Yeah.
Seriously. Send pictures. Brandy, how about you? What's next after Miami? Once you're home?
Oh, I'm home for a little bit, and then I'm only leaving for Verma. But other than that, like fingers crossed, no travel until Thanksgiving. I might actually like be in my apartment for a little bit, which is exciting.
Yeah, love it. We love a wholesome Brandy who gets to chill.
Yeah, the wedding gauntlet has concluded. So
I love it. Golden, same old.
No, man, I'll be seeing you next week. The glamping show out in Denver.
Yes.
So getting on a plane again feels good.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Finally.
What's up, Delta?
Come to my city. What's up, Delta? Take my money. No, I love it. I'm excited to pick you up from the airport. We'll have a fun time, and yeah, glad to see you again. Great show, you guys. For all the listeners, live viewers, thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to my New York crew who made this all possible. And like always, we'll see you guys all again next week.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.